So it's been raining all night and it's still raining now. So we're probably not going to risk any of the dirt roads today because they're going to be super boggy. So we're thinking maybe we'll go into Maitland and then we'll travel up to Moonta Way and go to Port Hughes and have a look around there and then see if we make our way out to Moonta by the end of the day. But Echo's snuggled in and ready to go. We'll still have a bit of a look around here before we leave. Even though it's raining, doesn't matter. We'll still have a look around, see what we can see. And yeah, we'll have a bit of breakfast and head out. So we're still at Port Victoria. It's about 7:30 in the morning. It's a little bit chilly. It's raining. But we're going to go for a bit of a wander around, see what we can find. I'm going to go for a wander out on the the jetty out there. And then we might go for a bit of a wander up the main street of town, which is down that way a bit. Yeah, we'll see what we can see. So they've got a little maritime museum here with a few bits and pieces out the front. One of the old horse-drawn carts. Tells you all about the history of like the ships and the shipping out of the grain and all that sort of stuff as well, which is really cool. Lots of little bits of information and stuff in here. So we found this cute little rotunda with like heaps of information on it about a geology trail. It says the now quiet foreshore at Port Victoria from the jetty south to Rifle Butts Beach was once a site of chaos. Volcanoes spewed ash and red-hot lava into the atmosphere and earthquakes shook the ground. The rocks that outcrop on the beach and in the low cliffs were formed by volcanoes 2,000 million years ago. They've long since gone, but the rocks formed by them remain to provide evidence of their existence. The sign goes on to say that at the jetty, you can find two distinctly different types of rocks formed by volcanic eruption. One feature of volcanic rocks are the fine grained crystals that make them up. These form when molten, when the lava cools and it produces crystals. Okay, so we're out at the end of the pier. It's cold and wet out here. Echo's not happy, she's whinging. She's getting wet. She doesn't like it. But yeah, this is the end of the pier. There's all Port Victoria back there. And out here, it's just lots of ocean. Nice grey skies all the way around today. So yeah, we're going to walk back in now and see if we can find anything down in town. Maybe a little bit drier. They have a geology trail here which shows you all the different sites and all the different types of volcanic rock that you can find along the way. So that's pretty cool. There's another sign with the rest of the trail on there. That was super interesting about all the rock formations and stuff like that. That's the cute little rotunda with all the information on it. And then the jetty out in the back there. And all down on that foreshore there is all the rocks that they're talking about. And then the walk, I think, goes along that way more. So that's pretty cool. So this is some pretty cool pieces of volcanic rock we found just poking out of the beach down here. This is one of the stops on their walk. And then we also found this. Now on the sign up there, it tells us that this is a dragon's egg. And it's formed by the lava from the volcanoes. They call them dragon's eggs, which is really cute. So maybe we'll leave this one here because I don't think Echo would like a little baby dragon for a brother or sister. So we might just plant this one back here. So this notice board here tells you all about the shipwrecks located around the island here. There's 8 of them were associated with Port Victoria as an important trading port in the early 1900s. So they say that 8 of the 9 have been located and marked as part of the heritage trail. It shows you on the map here where most of them went down and who they were. Let's pull up here. Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. And then this whole rotunda here is all about all of the shipwrecks that have occurred around here. Each ship has its own little plaque. Right, so we're both pretty wet. We're going to head back to the van now and dry off and warm up a little bit. And then we'll see what's next. Oh, you're dry now and you're ready to go, are you? Hey, you're ready to head out. So just making ourselves a pot of oats for breakfast. Nice and easy, nice and warming because it's a little bit chilly outside, wet and rainy. So some nice warm oats for breakfast. Echo's napping on the couch. She's already had her breakfast. I'm gonna sit down and eat oats, drink our coffee, and then we might think about heading off. I think we're going to go inland today just because it's so wet. It's been raining all night. It's still raining now. So all that coast that's left to do, or between here and wherever we stop now, might have to be done at a later stage. We'll have to come back and do it then because it's just far too wet. We're highly likely to get bogged if we start going along those dirt tracks today. So yeah, we'll just take it easy. We'll go inland. We're nearly up to the top anyway. I mean, there's a few lookout points and stuff that we'll probably be missing, but we could probably do that in a day trip if we wanted to come back. So, or weekend trip or something like that maybe. Yeah, this is pretty much ready, so let's have some breakfast. There's no point making extra dishes. Let's eat it straight out of the pot. We've also got a nice view out the side there. A nice hot coffee. Doesn't get much better. So I was just looking at our maps and where we're heading to, and I can see out here on my map, directly out from us, is that Wadung Island, where all those shipwrecks were. Not that we can see anything out there today, but it's supposed to be straight out across there. So that would have been interesting on a nice clear day. Alright, we're all strapped in, ready to go. We're going to head into inland towns today and try and stick to as many normal roads as possible. And we'll see how that goes. Okay, so maybe one dirt road. Just the one, eh? Have a look at how beautiful this countryside is. So nice. So I've just pulled in at this Water Resource Management Information Centre. Apparently it's a historical sort of site. So I've just jumped out for a quick look. I'm just going to go for a quick wander through. Echo's in the car because it's still raining. She's already wet and cold. So we'll just go for a quick wander. Oh, there's a dam over there. Got some information signs and that. So the sign says, to minimise loss by evaporation, water from a dam or bore needed to be stored in a tank. Many dams had an underground tank and a tank on a high stand overhead alongside the windmill. Water would be pumped into the overhead tank until it filled and then overflowed into the underground tank alongside. When the dam became empty, the windmill pumped water from the underground tank into the overhead tank. This meant the water could gravitate through pipes to the buildings or troughs where it was used. This windmill was used to pump water to the farm 1 kilometre west of this site, from the 1960s to the 1980s. In the early years of settlement, wind power was the most common way to cheaply shift water. Windmills have always had a romantic elegance and are often photographed for the way they decorate the landscape. It was not until the 1990s that windmills started to be replaced by solar-driven pumps. By 2006, nearly all water pumping was being done using solar power. This is all the pictures over the years of people building the dams and the water infrastructure for this area. And then in the shed there's like a whole heap of information all about capturing and storing the water, extracting the water, the early settlements. Yeah, so lots of information in this little shed. I don't know if you can hear the rain. It's definitely coming down out there, filling up that dam. This borehead was first erected 2.2 kilometres south of this site by farmers. The bore drilled to a depth of 126 metres in 1908 And although the water was very salty, it was sufficient to keep stock alive, particularly in years of drought. It says in the early days, digging and cleaning dams was done using scoops pulled by horse teams. The simplest of these was the buck scraper. The operator controlled the digging depth by walking behind and adjusting the pressure on the handle. Bigger scoops became common when crawler tractors were available. Often a chain was attached to allow the scoop to hang downhill into the mud and keep the tractor on firm ground. So it was a cute little historical walk just all around the dam there. They had lots more information about the geology, about the land up this way, and about the big earthquake rift that came through, and that would have tied in with Port Victoria and the volcanic ash and all that sort of stuff that's there. So yeah, that was heaps interesting and nice views as well. Alright, so we're just making a bit of lasagna for lunch. I've just put it in a little alfoil boat. And then we're just going to pop it in our little oven down here. Heat it up on about 200. So just waiting for lunch to heat up in the oven. We've just pulled up at a nice quiet parking spot to eat our lunch today. The rain has definitely settled in a lot. It's still raining quite a bit, so we've done a bit of a drive around Maitland here, but really there's not much here, so we're gonna have lunch and then we'll move on to the next town and see what we can find there. All right, let's grab lunch out. So what we got. Oh, have a look at that. Delicious. All right, let's get that on a plate. All right, time for lunch. So lunch is done, dishes are done. We're just gonna head off now to Moonta way. There's a couple of bits and pieces to look at Moonta, so we might stay at Moonta for the night and then have a tour around tomorrow as well as this afternoon. We'll see how we go for time. It's currently nearly 12 o'clock, so we had an early lunch today, so we've got plenty of afternoon left if there's enough energy. Somebody looks pretty tired already. All right, so we'll head on there and see what we can find. More off-road adventures. So we're just out at Hughes Engine House at the Moonta Mines. It's got all this information here about the engine house and a big map of all the places you can go and see here in Moonta. So there's quite a bit to do here. So we might actually spend a bit of time here, which is pretty cool. Just under this little shelter at the moment. And there's the engine house over there, which is pretty cool. We're going to walk over there and have a look. So some of the information on the notice board back there was about the Hughes Engine House, was the beating heart of Moonta. It played a central role in operations at Moonta Mines, pumping water from the mines night and day for 58 years. Hughes Engine House and Chimney are the best known landmarks at Moonta Mines. It was especially built to house a 60-inch Cornish beam engine that pumped day and night from 1865 to 1923, the longest running beam engine in Australia. This is the view of the cluster of buildings around Hughes Engine House that was taken from the mine offices. So in the background from the left is the mechanical workshops, Elders Engine House and Chimney, and Hughes Engine House. So the Hughes Engine House was a symbol of economic wealth and played a central role at the mine. It pumped water out of the mine shafts, making it safe for the miners and allowed access to deeper portions of the lode. So we've just walked across the road to another little one called Taylor's Shaft. It's got this cool little entryway. There's lots of ruins and stuff here as well, which is really cool. That in there's the big shaft. It's ultimately just a big hole in the ground. Look at all the bricks that they used to steady the walls with. More ruins over that way. Not sure what this big wall is. Something important, I'd say. It says it's the crushing plant. There's quite a few little fenced off areas. Obviously there's like mine shafts or where it's collapsed. So I'd assume all the mine is underneath where we are right now. It's cute. Not sure what it is. Okay. So yeah, this is Hugh's engine house. It's pretty cool actually, it's pretty massive. It's still raining, but it's not really bothering us much. We're going to continue walking around and have a look around, see what else we can discover. So I felt bad about not taking Echo on that last walk, so I did end up going back and getting her from the van, and we went on a big walk because it had this really nice track that you could walk on. But by the time we got back to the van, she was soaking wet, covered in mud, and it just takes so long to clean her up before she can get back in. And it's actually starting to rain quite a bit now. But I've just got back out because we found this while we were walking, and we've just driven around to it so I didn't have to walk so far. I'm going to show you. This huge big mound of dirt and a big building there. Obviously something historical, so I'm going to go check it out. The information board here tells me the stonework in this area marks the site of 3 boiler houses that supplied steam for Richmond's engine between 1869 and 1917. Number 1 boiler house with a circular stone chimney, which was erected adjoining the engine house in 1869, housed 2 Cornish boilers. These provided sufficient steam to power Richmond's engine. Later, a sawmill and air compressor were erected in the vicinity, each with its own engine taking steam from Richmond's boilers. We found some pretty cool stone ruins here, which is pretty awesome. We went inside that chimney over there, which was pretty cool. It was really, really well built. But now, I found some stairs that lead all the way up on top of here. So let's go see what's up here. Okay, so I found some more information. Copper ore was broken to the size of road metal at Taylor's Shaft and hand sorted into high-grade ore, low-grade ore and waste. High-grade ore was sent direct to the Wallaroo smelting works, and low-grade ore was railed to Richmond's concentrating plant for treatment. Low-grade ore was crushed in the crusher house on the southern side of the engine house. The crushed ore flowed into the famous Hancock jig, which produced a concentrate of about 20% copper. The coarse waste, or tailings, contained less than 1% copper, were dumped on this large heap here. So we've just pulled up at the Moonta Mines Railway. It's all pretty historic looking. I've left Echo in the car because I don't know if she can come into a lot of this stuff, so we're going to have a bit of a look around here and see what we can get into. So this building here is the old school and now a museum. It's got some plaques here with some information on them. The Moonta Mines School were designed to cater for 800 pupils. At its peak in 1881, there were 1,100 students. When the mines closed in 1923, the population decreased and the school eventually closed in 1968. Today, the school is a museum that interprets the social and industrial history of the mines and the community of Moonta. It says, when copper was discovered at Moonta in 1861, thousands of people moved to the area. Education was not compulsory at that time, but by 1868, there were at least 4 private day schools for boys and girls. In 1875, public schools were introduced in South Australia, and education became compulsory for children aged 7 to 13. Alright, so we just pulled in a little campground area at Moonta here, and it's just like a little free camp, I think. I'll have to check, see if it's actually free. There's a little view out the window there. There's a couple other campers here as well. There's a tent set up over that way a bit, and then there's another van down that way. So it might get busy in this little area. It's a little boggy in a few places, but we found a decent sort of place, and we've just pulled up for the night. Yeah, so we're going to spend the night here. Alright, so Echo and I are settled in for the night. It's dark outside, got dark really quick tonight. I'm just going to heat up some of that lasagna that I had for lunch for dinner again. Echo's just eating her dinner at the moment. And then, yeah, we'll just settle in, watch a bit of TV, have an early night maybe, we'll see. And then tomorrow, we'll see where the road takes us.